going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is your SummerSlam 2024 preview, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, my friend? Oh, my goodness me,
We just finished rambling about NXT, and we're still here.
We're still going strong into SummerSlam. I am excited, Spaz. I am so excited. Why am I excited?
Because it's SummerSlam.
No, actually, because it's unpredictable. I'm going to make some educated guesses.
Have you heard what Simon Miller is calling SummerSlam now? Because they're doing the two-night thing?
No.
He's calling it Hot WrestleMania. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to hijack things right away. Canada's getting another pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
We're getting Survivor Series.
You beat me to it. Now we're getting War Games. They made it official. That's right. TKO
it's over in Vancouver,
announced.
So fuck you, Vancouver.
Yeah, the Rogers Arena, November 30th.
As opposed to the Rogers Center, where I was next to.
Right.
Oh,
but
man.
They've not had it ever emanate from there before, so it never came from Vancouver. That's huge.
We've had Survivor Series in Toronto, but we have not had it since it's been War Games.
Yeah, and not in Vancouver, it said. So, hey, Look at that. I mean...
No, I think it's cool. It's going to be one of those cases where WWE, for admin purposes, is going to call it an international destination, just like they did with Money in the Bank.
Well, Money in the Bank became the premium live event, highest-grossing WWE arena event in company history.
Oh, yeah.
Highest...
No, but I just think it's funny, and it's not a bad thing, and it's not boo America. Like, if you're out there thinking Americans are bad just because they're Americans, suck my dick. I'm not joining your mob. But like, so much of the time, like, they don't look at coming to Toronto very much differently than going to, say, New York. Because it's close enough, we're all like neighbors and whatnot. Oh, Canada's the 51st state.
Yeah.
Like, they don't look at it the same way as like going over to France or even going to Saudi or Australia or anything like that.
No, that's true. No,
but
absolutely.
as soon as they roll through with this new initiative about the international shows, let me tell you about all our international shows in France and Australia and Belgium and Toronto.
Yeah, it feels like cold Mexico.
Oh my God!
You guys are you're just chilly Mexicans. That's all. You're our northern brethren.
You just crossed a line, and it was the border.
Into the border.
But no, I thought that was.
I didn't cross
really
it.
Cool.
I fell through.
It's long though, because normally I got the news like maybe an hour before you and I sat down to record NXT. But I'm like, have we normally gone this long without having a date or a place for Survivor Series?
Funny to say, I know Joe had asked recently too. He's like, "Has there been any update of where they're going to do this?" Because usually that's like a 6-month minimum, announcement. Usually for the big four, they're like, "Hey, this is what's going on. Dig it."
Well, because there's dates. I don't have the Wikipedia in front of me right now, but there's dates past November
that have been
already
announced.
established on the calendar, right? So it's just a weird one. I think it would be really funny if on the August 23rd episode of SmackDown, in a couple of weeks, Triple H started the show with the huge announcement that they're going to do WrestleMania at Wembley, because then they can go on that weekend to get a big WWE blimp and drop some WWE merch on the All In fans, because I think it's about time that WWE starts to actually be as petty as they're accused of being, just to,
If they actually truly wanted to turn on the fuel and be like, hey, guess what? If you want us to view you as competition, we're going to squish you as competition.
The funny thing is like, and we're sidetracked already, which is absolutely fine.
That's us.
The people on the other side that are like, oh, WWE's so bitter and they're so asshole and they have all these tactics and whatever. And it's like, do you know what WWE could do to you if they put even a tenth of the effort in?
And we haven't seen them become that vitriolic, hate-filled, rage-induced monster that Vince used to save his company.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't overstate it enough. They took out the water coolers. They were going under.
The water coolers thing is wild.
I mean, that always blows my mind when you're like, hey, we can't afford office supplies anymore. And to know that they were in that state, you had the 80-something weeks, and oh my God, we got
83 weeks, right?
Yeah, and it's like, I genuinely now, we know how petty Vince can be.
I just can't wait for like 5 years from now when WWE Productions releases The Rise and Fall of AEW.
Yeah,
and, Tony Khan becomes the general manager of all house shows and dark matches.
When they buy the media library from them and then just put them on the network.
Oh my god! And they do. Oh my god! WWE is really good at video packages. We always said it.
Absolutely. Editing team top notch.
WWE producing an AEW blooper reel.
Oh.
Would be so fucking good.
But these are the things that, the billionaire Ted skits and stuff like that. Like, if they want to be petty, they could be petty without...
I want Joe Hendry to come out at WrestleMania and sing a song about AEW.
That would be hilarious. And I'm not always about, like, the mudslinging, but this is one of those things...
But it's the mud show!
And his character would fit, because he does the Deadpool-esque fourth wall breaks.
But this isn't
the proposal.
It's not. Oh, you're punching down. Well, they haven't done anything, first of all. This is okay, you got a young kid living in your house and you just got a dog, and the kid's been poking the dog with a stick for like a month now, and finally the kid gets bit. I mean, I hate to narrow it down to those terms, but that's what it would be if WWE...
time to put the dog down in their eyes. And
if WWE actually did what they could do and did what they were accused of doing and did what they could do with, like, a snap of their fingers. Like, Triple H could be Thanos if he wanted to. But he's not.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
just doing his shit, right?
Anyways. Absolutely. And
we got a big card to get into.
Yeah.
So I want...
My original point was just that, fuck me, am I excited. Because SummerSlam should be called the unpredictable event of the summer. I genuinely have ideas and theories, but all in all, I mean, I'm going to give you a few creative booking scenarios as well and differ a little bit from what I said on Joe's. And even since then, I
stopped listening to Joe's show when you guys got onto SummerSlam so that it wouldn't bleed into what I was saying tonight.
Yep. Smart way to do it. And you kind of get my takes fresh and direct to, farm to table. So I miss the times where, I don't want Crash TV. I don't want it to be that constant, because that was my problem with AEW recently with the booking of, Tony's protege, Mariah May, turning heel on her. It was a moment because it was shocking, but the reason it was shocking because it didn't have any build-up or lead to or really make any sense as to why she turned. Nope. She already had the title match. They were already heels together, but being portrayed as faces at times. So
Tony Khan knew that a vaguely lesbian angle would sell on TV, even though WWE got slated for doing that 20 years ago. But it's okay because it's Tony Khan. That's why that happened.
But my point is, with All In, for the most part, minus, Danielson maybe retiring, everything else feels very like, all right, Ospreay's going to beat MJF and, get his vindication. Like everything, and that's not a bad thing, but I mentioned...
That's a good thing.
In the previous pod, I had said how, Tony's very, very, very weary of leaks. He's always worried that people are just going to ruin everything, so he doesn't put match, orders out and all, things of that nature that I had mentioned. Well, on top of all of that, it's like it's not hard to see what you're doing for the booking. We just know how you book, Tony. We've seen you for 5 years now handle things. And we've also seen how.
But also, we can tell where it's
going.
I only very casually watch AEW now. Like more or less, AEW is what's on in the background while I'm doing other things, while I'm maybe editing or like putting some images together as I struggle to do, or whatever the case may be, right? But it's one of those. It's not that you had a leak. It's that you had a very predictable ending, and then took forever getting there.
Exactly. And time again, it's just like, all right, come on now. And that's my point here. I have not been to a point where I'm like, I don't know. Is it Drew? Is it Seth? Is it Punk? What do we get? And we'll get into it with the predictions. But right off the bat, I'm telling you, I am just excited to not know. I mean, I have ideas with some of it, but in the grand scheme of things, I genuinely do not know what the outcome is going to be. And
there's a whole lot of matches on this card, I will say, where, like, even though I think I know where it's going, like there was a whole lot of time back in the day, like anything like pre-2019 or so, it's like, oh, I don't really care what happens in this match. There's a very different I don't care what happens in this match that happens now, where it's like, I don't care what happens in this match because any decision that they make could be great.
Very good.
It's the positive version of I don't care where this goes. You know what I mean? But before we
nailed it, because that's the main event in a lot of matches in that regard. I'm like, so long as it's a good story and they keep telling us, things that are entertaining, cook, deliver.
We're gonna do a rapid fire thing to begin with, because there's a couple of points that I want to get into before we get into the actual card. I'm just gonna say something and give me like 2 or 3 words of your thoughts on it before we get into the actual card. SmackDown Women's Tag Team Title match, Unholy Union versus Jade and Bianca. Jade and Bianca are getting their titles back, aren't they?
No, I thought so. I thought it would go ahead and transfer, but I think they're going to do the split of Bianca and Jade and have them have a match.
Oh.
I don't know. I might be way off base with it. A lot of people are thinking, oh, they're just going to get the titles back, but I really am not convinced that they're going to go ahead and just revert back to them being champs for the belt. Because then it really would feel like, hey, we only gave you the belt as a feel-good moment, which is okay, but I want it to be more. And they've been giving us these great matches. So
I'm the other way. Like, I think Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, like, if they lose, then yeah, it looks like a gift. The other thing is, on the other side of the coin, I'm really sick of Bianca, and I want Jade in a singles title picture. So them winning the titles doesn't mean anything, but I've got a lot of hope in a lot of things that WWE is doing right now. I don't have a lot of hope where you put Bianca in a position to get a belt and she doesn't get it.
Yeah.
That's just me. Speaking of tag team titles, the WWE Tag Team Championships are being defended by DIY also on SmackDown versus the Bloodline, and we've established that the Bloodline in this case is being represented by Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, because Tonga Loa, I don't know if this is real or if it's kayfabe, has some issue with his eye. He's got
the eye patch on.
He's doing the Daniel Bryan bit there.
Yeah.
Bloodline
me
are
as a
winning
pirate. Bloodline's taking the title. Sorry, guys. You got
like
the
Jacob Fatu's going to kill somebody. It's fine.
Yeah. But hey, they got their feel-good moment in Canada, and
yeah, it was really good.
It was perfect. It was a perfect moment, and that's what Triple H is good at. Building up stories to a crescendo where you get the payoff, and now if they lose the belts, you don't feel slighted. One thing I want to say before we go and run through the card, they have a record-breaking 12 sponsors for SummerSlam, which I'm excited. Exactly. Nice. I'm excited. I like when things are doing well because it's only going to benefit the fans in the end.
And people are going to complain about the LED boards and blah, 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 and I really don't care.
So they're up 23% in revenue before they even got in the door yet. That's incredible.
And see, here's the thing about the sponsorship conversation. I don't care how much money they're making from the sponsorship. I'm more interested in WWE is so big, look how many people want to work with them. Like, to me, the sponsorship thing isn't a money thing, if that makes sense.
No, I understand. It's a brand integration and public awareness.
They were a company that people didn't want to touch for a while, sometimes for good reasons.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And
let's talk about something else that's going to piss people off, though.
Really quick, my whole point was they're having more of sponsorships being laid out in the ring. Yeah. They're going to have Wingstop and Slim Jims. They're going to have these matchups, and it's going to be the Slim Jim
Prime
match
versus Slim Jim for the U.S. title.
Yeah, basically, C4, Manscaped, Wheatley, Mike's Hard Lemonade, Riot Games, Verizon, Prime. They're all there, and there's
so
more.
So it's all the ones that were there. It's just all of them are there this time.
Yes, all of them are there for this massive conglomeration of super advertising, and on top of it, they're also doing where matches will be individually branded. So there's going to be the Slim Jim match, and there's going to be, so long as it doesn't turn into the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, where we have to have a match and then we have the match idea, then we have to build to it instead of having a feud and then the match calls for it.
You could have fun with that though, because it depends on how serious the match is. But if two of the mid-carders are, for some reason, having a hardcore match on the show, you could have it be like the Mike's hardcore match, and then at some point they get hit in the head with a Mike's can, and then you move on. Don't linger on it. Maybe don't go as far as the lights out match, but you can do an integration that makes sense. depending on how serious the match is. Because if it's a fun match, then fun is fun.
Exactly, and you nailed it. And that's really what I genuinely, like I said, I've missed, and I want that continued fun. People are like, oh, it's sacred. They're not supposed to have stuff in the ring. I'm so far beyond that being an issue, and they did it in such a way where the Prime logo did not look. Yeah. It didn't obfuscate. It didn't block. It didn't cause.
I mean, you saw. We've already talked about it, but you saw Slammiversary, right?
Yes.
You see how much is on their ring?
Yes.
Does it bother you?
No.
There we go.
Like I said, it doesn't obfuscate or it doesn't block anything that's, basically, it's not an issue. It's not
I would rather,
distracting.
I will say I would rather have it on the mat or on the turnbuckles or whatever than on the LED board, but even the LED board isn't that bad.
No.
Want to talk about something that people are pretending to get very outraged about? 3-hour pre-show. Do you care? If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
Exactly. I told everybody have a blast with it because I'll
probably have it on in the background. Like, my thing is if you're going to have a 3-hour pre-show, toss a couple of matches on there, or else nobody is going to watch it. People are saying that this is counter-programming to AEW, and I'm like, okay, if your Saturday evening program gets outdone in the ratings by a kickoff show that has no matches on it, that sounds like a you problem.
That sounds like SpaghettiOs. Yeah, it's not a great moment for them.
Another thing people don't like, we're getting a concert.
Yeah.
We're going to have Jelly Roll on there. I don't really care. It'll be like when I go to get my food or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the pre-show. Like, if you don't want to watch the concert, go and do something else for 5 minutes.
You could skip that. Exactly.
And the same thing goes for my boy, probably in the running for most underrated personality in WWE. SummerSlam's being hosted by The Miz.
They're in Cleveland. I'm happy for him. I'm genuinely curious to see where this goes. If he's going to have, some type of moment match that's, suddenly, not a match, but, they do, the quick little, hey, and then he hits his finisher or something, a celebrity involvement. So I could see him doing something physical.
Hey,
certainly.
Miz. I believe that you're awesome. Joe Hendry goes everywhere.
Hendry, I like the character, and I like that he's enigmatic, charismatic, and also just enjoyable. So
250 pounds of pure motivation.
Exactly.
The solution to all of life's problems.
He's just exciting to watch, and it's fun, and it has that catchy vibe, and I'm just like, hey, we need as much good stuff right now as possible, and this is certainly working, and I couldn't be happier to have good things that are just
He beat Taylor Swift in the Billboard charts in the UK.
Yes, which is nuts. That's so shocking.
Because, Swifties aren't a cult or anything. Anyways, moving on to the first match. I did a pod about a week ago. Because I got bored, realistically. I did, the same thing I did for WrestleMania. I did SummerSlam worst case scenarios.
Yes.
Right? It's going to make me sound like a dick. Bayley versus Nia Jax. Worst case scenario for me is Nia Jax leaves the building with the belt. That doesn't mean
she's not winning.
That she can't win. But you've got Bayley on one side that deserves her flowers. You've got Tiffany Stratton on the other side who's getting the rocket strapped to her back. If you leave both of them behind so that Nia Jax leaves with the belt, not only does that leave them both behind, it also makes Nia Jax look like an idiot because she's walking around like her new best friend with the briefcase isn't going to catch the briefcase in on her.
And I think they're going to play with this for a while in the sense of hey, we're going to go ahead and tease it where there's dissension, but they're not going to be outright oh yeah, she's definitely cashing in on her, and they want to kind of tease
so dumb, man.
I think they're going to make Nia look dumb.
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. This it's going to make Nia Jax look dumb. If you're the champion and your sidekick is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, you're an idiot. And that's coming from me. I'm no huge fan of Nia Jax.
No, and
she seems to be getting over in this second run, which I don't begrudge her success and whatever, but no. I don't. It's not working for me.
I'm not a fan.
They're making veiled callbacks to their rivalry back in NXT.
And her being, actually hurt by her, and how she took her out of, a competition for that point in time, and she screwed Bayley's career for a little bit. She almost ruined her trajectory by injuring her, and I liked how Bayley was like, "You're big, you're oafish, you're uncoordinated, and you hurt people." So I was like, "Oh, go."
You hurt people. See, here's the thing. Here's the criticism.
You think that's too fourth wall?
No, I think that you can't bring that fourth wall inside the walls, because you can't tell somebody who's going into a fight to hurt you that you're a bad person because you hurt people.
Yeah, that was kind of... I get it.
This is a nitpick that I typically hear on, like, What Culture from you-know-who.
Yeah.
But begrudgingly, I have to give him that point because it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's like remember when Billy Kidman in WCW, like, he hurt somebody, or it wasn't, it was on SmackDown, actually. He hurt somebody with the shooting star press, and then he just didn't do it for a while. And I'm like, isn't that the point? I don't know. Ultimately,
aren't you supposed to hurt people? Yeah, like Ospreay, I get it, because he almost paralyzed, Danielson. He's had issues, and they're like, this is bad for us, but it could have been so much worse. And all right, that's your story. That's not a bad story.
Ultimately, I want to see Bayley versus Tiffany at Bash in Berlin, and I think that's where they're going. And I think Jax is like sort of the betwixt in between person.
I'd like to see Nia win. She gets cashed in on eventually by Tiffy time, and then we get a triple threat at Berlin. I wouldn't hate.
I would love to see Bayley. I want it the other way around, because Bayley's going to take a beating from Nia Jax. She's very good at playing the underdog, even though she's been heel for a bit now, off and on. But she's the smaller person. Like, it's very easy to play the babyface in peril type thing. If she goes in there, gets the absolute crap kicked out of her, gets squashed a couple of times, Nia Jax slips on a banana peel, still gets the win. Nia Jax is so mad about the banana peel that she beats the fuck out of her after the match. Bayley's dead. Tiffany Stratton cashes in on Bayley. First of all, she's cashed in on a much more legitimate champion. I'm sorry, Bayley is more legitimate than Nia Jax, and you get the whole like indignant, you cashed in on my absolute worst moment. Come back at me when you're 100, when I'm 100%, and you do them in Bash in Berlin. That's a hell of a match for Bash in Berlin as well. Like,
no doubt.
Like Tiffany Stratton, like I say, everybody loves Bayley, especially over in that part of the world. Everybody loves Bayley, but Tiffany Stratton is over everywhere.
How could you not love Bayley? Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm being serious. It's like she's.
I loved her when she was a heel, because like I'm like
I did too. Ding dong,
a badass. Yeah. When she first came out and she like slashed the Bayley buddies, and she came out with the Karen haircut for the first time and everything.
Yeah.
And her like ongoing rivalry with Michael Cole is fun. Like, sometimes shit can just be fun.
And you're not wrong. Things need to be fun every now and again, and we just need to have... Basically, like I said, just have
Not everything has to be a mouthful of thumbtacks.
Absolutely. And that was my problem, like I said beforehand, with... the Blood and Guts match, because it was like we've been there, done that.
Blood and Guts was okay. I like the Blood and Guts concept because basically it's a rip-off of War Games and with a little bit more intensity to it.
Yeah.
I have liked the Blood and Guts matches that they've done in the past. The one they did this year was a segment. It was just a poorly acted segment with some bloody stuff. And then you get into the headshot stuff and people shitting on Jimmy Corderas, of all people, for talking about the people that he's lost in his life to head trauma because they're terrible fucking people. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I'm not going to get going on it, but I will say this to cap it off. It's like people have to realize that they're not attacking AEW. They're simply telling you, hey, stupid, you're going to die. Yeah. You're going to fucking kill yourself, somebody. This is not behooving anybody.
I don't even say that much. I'm not calling anybody stupid, because it's a two-sided coin for me, right? You are an autonomous adult. You are allowed to do whatever you would like to do. That's not going to stop somebody else from thinking, hey, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But two things can be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so capping this one off, I say Tiffany Stratton leaves with the belt.
I'm going to say Nia wins. We don't see a cash-in yet.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay, caveat for the next one. I'm not getting into the Olympic bullshit on this podcast. We don't have the time, and I don't want to get pissed off. Cancel culture's coming for Logan Paul. If he wasn't already losing the belt, he's losing it now. LA Knight's going to win, which is unfortunate because it should be a win for LA Knight because he deserves it, but he's going to win the title because of outside bullshit. And sorry to be down all of a sudden on this particular one. You can take the conversation if you want to, but this one I know is just going to piss me off.
Yeah. LA Knight has to win here.
Yeah.
I mean, people were saying Hendry was buried. He was not buried. They gave him the move, of the century where they let him beat Moose.
Yeah.
Why are people so blind to this?
People are saying Joe Hendry was buried at Slammiversary?
Yes.
Fuck off. Yeah,
because he didn't win the title. How did they not pull the trigger on him? He's so over. Oh, that's it. He's done for. He's done in TNA.
Because
They're
Nick
just
Nemeth
send
came
him to
into
NXT.
friggin' TNA.
Yep.
Latest
but they don't see that, Spaz. They
know.
just saw
latest
my
claim
guy
out for the
lost.
title is like, I'm not going to come in here day one like an ex-WWE guy and demand a title shot. I'm going to plow through the field, I'm going to go through your guys, and I'm going to earn my title.
I'm going to earn it. And that's what makes you enamored about a character. As where this was just like, well, all right, now what? And that's not a good feeling, So I genuinely...
Apparently, initially, it was going to be Josh Alexander. Like, the heel turn was going to lead to him winning the title, and then him and Joe Hendry were going to feud over the belt. But then they made the decision to give it to Nick Nemeth because they believe in Joe Hendry, no pun intended, so much that they think a Joe Hendry-Josh Alexander match doesn't even need the belt.
No.
That's a bigger endorsement than giving him the belt.
Exactly. It doesn't need the belt though. He will be a champion. He's got a lot of potential and room to grow, and
I bet he's an NXT champion soon.
I see him winning certainly either, I can see him beating Ethan Page. I can also see him being, yeah.
Him versus Obafemi would be a lot of fun because he would find a way to topple the Giant without taking away the Giant status.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Spaz, my man. Think about it. No one's been able to conquer this badass.
Yeah.
And now you get everybody and to play on the I believe in Joe Hendry thing.
Yeah.
Like he needs the crowd to believe in him to super power up kind of per se.
I see. I would want him to come out and cut one of his like silly promos, like the 250 pounds of pure motivation, the cure to all life's problems or whatever. And then he gets super serious and he's like, "I'm gonna beat you on Sunday because I believe in me."
Yeah, and that's pretty much all you need.
All right, so Knight's taking the belt, not for the reasons that he should, but because the world is stupid. Next. Yeah. On a much lighter note, Sami Zayn's going to do a hell of a good job making Braun Breaker look like a badass. I can't believe that he didn't win at Money in the Bank. Unfortunately, I didn't see this match at Money in the Bank because that was the moment that I actually gave in to the Smirnoff gods and actually had to go for a leak. And I didn't want to miss any of the other matches. So this is a first time match for me because I didn't go back to rewatch it. And as soon as they announced the rematch, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this like it's my first time.
Yeah.
Breaker has been
presented
you
missed
like a monster.
Live, but hey, at least you got to go back and be like, hey, this is what I'm getting.
No, but I got to be right about CM Punk, and that was better. And my chest hurt.
But you know what? That level of excitement.
Shout out to everybody in 103.
You had the best seat all days in a row, and then like you said, you just had like the best group of people around with you.
Oh, so much fun. Having the unannounced appearance by CM Punk sitting next to a guy and his son that had driven up from Chicago was a trip.
Exactly.
Anyways, Breaker's going to beat Sammy. My thing with this, right, and this is another thing that I talked about in the worst case scenarios thing, right? The two people most directly connected to Braun Breaker are two people that I want to see go up against Gunther. One of them is Sami Zayn, one of them is Ilya Dragunov. And it's like, you can kind of go, hey, Breaker, take this title because we've got other things we want to worry about, which is a really weird way to look at it. But I don't think, like, obviously it's Sami Zayn. Sammy doesn't lose anything by losing to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker has been probably one of the best treated NXT call-ups, even in this era of good NXT call-ups.
No, and you're absolutely right. And it's been kind of a developing scenario. We've gotten more and more out of it, and I genuinely feel like, hey, this is really interesting, and we're finally getting more.
There's going to be a really interesting moment when we get to a Royal Rumble when Breakker and Corbin are across from each other, because the last thing he did that got over when I don't think anybody thought it would was the tag team of Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, the Wolf Dogs. Yeah, and then now great. Baron Corbin's a babyface. They're gonna meet up in the Rumble. I think they're intentionally on different shows for that moment to happen.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, I know you said you think Braun Breaker wins here. I'm not so sure. I don't think he's gonna win, but I also don't think he's gonna be beaten cleanly. There's either gonna be like a double count out, a disqualification. I see it going that way because I mean they've had everything with what's his name? Bronson Reed being involved at one point, and then Chad Gable was in there, obviously, but I forget the other guy's name. It'll come back to me in a second. But basically, I'm just not so sure that Sammy's going to get it at this, lose at this point. I think
they are, only because looking down the line, what did we just talk about? We just talked about Survivor Series.
Yeah.
They're definitely going Bloodline versus Bloodline, and Sami Zayn's definitely going to be involved in that, and he doesn't need the Intercontinental Championship to do that. Also,
I'm just not sure he loses at SummerSlam. I think because Logan Paul is losing, I think that they're not going to change both mid-card belts. So.
Yeah. Oh, I would have said the same. Before shit kicked off, I thought it would be one of the rare instances with Logan Paul where the hometown boy winning would get booed.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be something they could have played with, but that's not going to happen now. But I don't think because they've changed that, they're going to change another completely unrelated match.
Yeah.
But I think Sammy's going to be heavily involved in the Bloodline stuff. And if Breakker wins the title, you can go, because we always talk about the little guys always have to prove that they can do what they can do and whatever. I think kind of the opposite thing is happening in WWE right now, where the heavyweight guys are showing what they can do in a more athletic way. So if you get a mid card on Raw for the Intercontinental Championship that consists of say for example, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, Ivar, Otis. Maybe throw Sheamus in there, maybe throw Pete Dunne in there. The IC title could have a period of time in its history where it just becomes the brawling title.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than what it's been considered for so long, sort of the workhorse technicians title. You could give the IC title a new identity, and Braun Breaker could be the guy to usher that in, and I think that's huge.
I don't doubt that. I'm still just not convinced that he's losing yet. That's my problem.
Braun Breaker versus Ivar.
There's so many matches. I mean, Braun Breaker's got a huge career, and he's one of those heels that's so cool that people don't want to boo him.
Yeah.
And that can get dangerous, but it also.
I see. The thing is, I don't think, and we're going to talk about this much later in a much different match. I don't think he's a heel. I just think he's a dick.
Yes.
And there's a difference. Here's this massive guy who's got all this presence. Braun Breaker is what WWE hoped Ryback would be.
That's actually a really poetic fucking statement. I can't add to that. Let's go on. You made me speechless.
And like I said, on a more functional, putting pieces in place type level, like I say, Sami Zayn doesn't need the IC title because he's gonna be involved in Bloodline stuff. Now, just like I did on the previous pod, I'm gonna combine these next two matches in one point. Judgment Day's falling apart this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah. So I think it's going to play into two
Ripley
parts.
And Priest and Gunther.
People are saying, they're not convinced that Dom's going to turn, and I'm two ideas. So Dom either turns, and he obviously helps Liv retain her title, and Rhea gets screwed that way, or Finn Balor is finally let to be known as the mastermind. He screws over somehow in this scenario Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley. I mean, I could see, because with Liv, they've had all these things in the background with Balor for so long now, and it started where you just saw him quickly get out of the car with her, and then the little things in the background, and then look at that, he's got the room key for the hotel, and I think it'd be funny if Liv and Balor are together, and they did it all so he could take over Judgment Day, and there's 100 ways to book it better than that. Thing is, I'm genuinely convinced no matter what, JD is done. The Judgment Day will be no more.
See, and there's where what I'm picturing, I'm not necessarily saying this is what's going to happen, but what I'm picturing in my head, I'm not including Carlito in this because the Carlito inclusion has been entertaining but ultimately kind of disposable. So put that to one side. I think...
Put a pin in it.
Yeah. I think the new Judgment Day is Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. They screw over Priest. They screw over Ripley. Dominic gets left in kind of a weird place because he wasn't cheating with Liv, but he was used as a pawn the whole time in a plan by Finn and Liv. So so he's not with the Judgment Day anymore, but Rhea's also kind of disgusted with him, so he's kind of out on an island. And the only people left with belts are Liv, Finn, and JD. They need to make a bigger joke out of one of the guys remaining in Judgment Day. His initials are JD. But I wish he was still being called Jordan Devlin, but that's another story altogether. But if you walk away with a championship trio that took the belts away from Damian Priest and made sure that Ripley didn't get her belt back, obviously Gunther's got to go to Berlin, so that's just paperwork, if nothing else.
Just paperwork.
That's just paperwork. But what it does,
bastard, that got me.
People want to cheer Rhea Ripley. People want to cheer Damian. I mean, they're already cheering for them, but they want that permission to treat them as the baby faces they already are. You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
Rhea Ripley is an absolutely hard done by superstar babyface. Damian Priest goes on. He's fueled. He'll probably have the mini rivalry with Finn Balor, which will mean he's the one that sticks around to take on the rest of Judgment Day while Rhea goes on her own. I do not know. It would be a super interesting story at that point. What does Dominic Mysterio do? Does he, does the prodigal son come back home to his dad? Does he do some LWO stuff? There's a whole lot to do there. He's more developed as a talent now.
Yeah, it's like how does this develop and go forward? And I agree entirely.
He becomes the interesting story, but he just when the what do you call it? When the Shield broke up, and then Rollins and Roman fought like forever, and then Ambrose just kind of like walked away. Like that would be Dominic Mysterio in this case. Like I say, Carlito I'm not including in the equation, but a couple of dickhead heels walking out of SummerSlam with their belts, Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough, because I don't want them to throw away the JD McDonough and Finn Balor tag team. And I don't want them to completely lose the association with Liv Morgan. Because if you recall, before Finn Balor joined the Judgment Day, it was AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan that went against the Judgment Day.
Yes. And so I think Liv is going to be teaming either with Balor and they kind of have with JD their new kind of Judgment Day is what. And
eventually down the line, you do a 6-person tag on a B pay-per-view where it is babyface Damian Priest, babyface Dominic Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley versus this new Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Now I've got that all set up in my head. I'm going to be really sad when it doesn't happen that way. But there's no way that Liv or Priest are leaving with belts. I don't think.
Yeah, I think Priest is losing to Gunther, and I genuinely believe that Rhea's not winning. So.
Well, the other thing is, too, and this is from an outside point of view, if Rhea Ripley left and Liv got the title, Rhea Ripley comes back and gets the title back, it does reinforce that, Liv was just a placeholder thing, too, which is not great, because I think she's another one. She's like a Miz in the sense of, like, no, she's not the best person on the card, but she's far from the worst.
Exactly, and she's actually
she's doing really good right now. She's doing the crazy chick thing. She's another one. She's like, not to bring it back to our other podcast. She's another one that I would love to see if we get some more crossover. She's one I'd love to see go up against Rosemary as well. Because what kind of crazy is better? Is my crazy better, or is your crazy better? When she did the big speech around the bonfire and she's burning up all the pictures of Dom. Now the other thing is,
was a little odd. I wish she didn't cry when he said he didn't choose her and all that, because it made it seem weird. Like, I thought you were doing this for mind games. I didn't think you actually loved Dominic, So
Yeah, but if
that
you
was
want
a
to,
little,
if she's psychotic though, like she thought she could have
yeah,
both. Maybe she didn't
maybe she
love
did think she
him,
had
but she
both.
loved the idea that she could control him. Maybe
Yeah,
she's not mourning the loss of him; she's mourning the loss of the control. There's a lot.
that could be it too. I mean,
There's
there's ways for them to
there's a lot
still
of Joker
save and
Harley
salvage.
Quinn esque elements to that, and there's a new Joker movie coming out soon. So there's that. I'm going to say something really quickly because I don't think I have much to say about it. Cody has to drag Solo Sikoa to a good match, and then we're going to get Roman Reigns back.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth. Do we see Roman? Do we not? Do we? I think we are. It's been a while.
Cody teased that this is the main event of the show. So if this is the main event of the show and it's just a match for match's sake, that was another one of the worst case scenario things because this ain't it. You're gonna end on a wet fart if this is a match just to be a match.
Yeah, I said to Joe last night, as you didn't listen to this part, I said if they go ahead and they have it where, it's not the main event, then I feel like Roman's not coming back. But if this is the main event, how do they not have Roman?
Yeah.
I just don't see how they couldn't
if
have
it's
Roman.
not the main event, there's no way that Roman Reigns comes back and then we have, okay, here's the rest of the card.
Exactly. That'll overshadow everything. So.
Well, not everything in my opinion, but
well,
in most people's opinion,
in most people's mind, and for what they're trying to get done, I feel like that would really hinder anything else big from the night because they'll only be, So I think if they close with the feel good moment of Roman, then they've got something to build to, obviously for SmackDown, and there's intrigue with everything else. So
speaking of hindering, you know what Jinder Mahal's doing now?
He's on the Independents, but
he's in a tag team with Satnam Singh,
which is really cool.
I like that. That's kind of cool. I do. Jinder Mahal's one of those people, like, I never want to see him on screen, but the one SmackDown I went to, like, back in 2015 where he was the most over person in Toronto.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to watch him, but, genuinely, and I say this with no sarcasm, like, I hope he's doing all right.
Oh, no, I'm right there with you. Like, that was the thing. Like, I hated Jinder for the way they booked him. It wasn't his fault. But he lost 500 matches, won one number one contender, and now he was the champ. And it was like so jarring to have him.
And then he lost to AJ because Brock was like fuck facing that guy.
Yeah, Brock was like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not doing that. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And I was like, ooh, okay, Brock angry.
Speaking of 3-man band, what if CM Punk comes down to the ring for what I think should be the main event? It just hands Drew a guitar.
Now that would be
Punk Drew with Seth as the ref.
Yep.
Try to make an argument for me that this isn't the best thing going right now.
I can't. It is the best thing going, and they again AEW. Hey, I'm sorry, but Punk was injured for how long? How long? A long goddamn time. And guess what? He's been injured for how long? A long goddamn time. And what are we getting? Punk on our TV regularly. He's the main event. He's the main focus. He is the guy. It's Punk. They've made him be undeniable, unforgettable. He's been on our minds.
Only idiots would find him undesirable.
Yeah.
Hey.
Him and Jack Perry's photo that Drew took, people are like, "Oh my God, he had to delete it." Like, of course, you think they're going to do that to Punk? Of course not. They're
okay,
it's all
but the tweet and delete is a planned thing. Yeah.
Yes.
He got told. I bet Punk went to the higher ups to get him to delete that. No, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah, don't be a mark.
If that was the case, he wouldn't have gone and done the Mindy's Bakery bit.
Exactly. So
this is a real photo, Cry Me a River. That's the most Jack fucking Perry has been talked about in his entire fucking life.
And you know what? It kills me, and I know other people are like, oh, it really bothers me that, and I know they had to, okay, so you got to make the best of the situation. Granted, yes, but it bothered me that Perry benefited from being a cunt.
Yep.
No,
let's be clear. And I'm sorry, not everybody agrees with me, that's fine. He's not being rewarded for being a cunt. He's being rewarded, he's being patted on the head for doing his boss's bidding.
Yes. He got Punk to be goodbye. That was his purpose. And you get my point, though. I think that I'm trying to convey is like it's frustrating and disheartening to deal with
but
this
he's over now.
nonsensical
No,
bullshit.
He's just a cunt. And yes, if somebody's a cunt long enough, you're going to want to see them get smacked in the face, even if it's pretend. That doesn't
certainly, and that's the goal. You know, that's
who
never
deserved the phrase. Who never deserved the phrase was X-Pac, talking about X-Pac heat.
Yeah, he
let's call
it
fucking jungle fuck heat.
Yeah, exactly. And
and then we suspended him. No, you sent him to Japan for a while.
Yeah, that's all you did.
It's like the Elite's been suspended. No, they weren't. They run the company.
Exactly.
You suspended Punk and then you gave yourself a vacation. And you had the fucking, Death Triangle or whatever, keep the belts warm for you till you got back. Exactly what I don't want to see happen to Liv Morgan.
Yeah, and that's my worry. So,
So let's go. Yeah.
And I'm less worried with WWE. They make me a bit more confident in their booking decisions recently. But
here's the thing. We got Bad Blood, as you and I briefly touched on in the other pod.
We do? I thought we loved each other.
The big rumor. Okay, I got that. Sorry. It's getting long in here now. The big rumor is Punk Drew again in Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood to represent the 20th anniversary of the first Hell in the Cell. Mm-hmm. Well, where did the Hell in the Cell, the first Hell in the Cell, come from? It came from, what's it called?
Is it 20th anniversary? I thought it was.
It's some big
something
number.
around there.
It's some big number.
15,
but the Hell in the Cell, Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker came from what? Undertaker versus Bret Hart with Shawn Michaels as the special referee.
Exactly.
So, in order to justify a Hell in the Cell match, not that you really have to, just put it on a poster, people will show up.
Certainly.
So, there's going to be some fucking in this match.
There has to be. Seth's the ref. What do you expect?
But here's the thing,
wrong.
And here's where once again it plays so well, because where does the fuckery go?
Exactly, and it just works.
Anything works. Seth fucks over Punk, works. Seth fucks over Drew, works. Punk and Drew fight and Seth calls it a no contest to fuck over both of them, works. Seth super kicks both of them and pins both of them and calls himself the winner, works.
Works. I mean, there is not a scenario here so far that is not just perfect, where it just works. I don't know. I'm telling you, Spaz, it works. Like you said,
it's hard to predict, because normally when you're doing a prediction, you're like, oh, this would be really cool if they went this way. I hope they really don't do it this way. This match is going to be good. The decision, we don't know what the decision that they've made for this match is, but we already know that the decision is good. This has been, I shouldn't say that. They've done it with Rhea Ripley too. They kept the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan thing alive and strong and whatever with storyline while Ripley was off with injury too. So I shouldn't say it's just CM Punk.
No, it's exactly.
And those two things have happened on the same show as well. Those two things have happened on the same show, and it didn't even have a whiff of, oh my god, they're doing this twice.
Yeah, no,
because they made it to be so different, right? But I thought it was so. We threw Gunther into the mix, and that's kind of a bit of a spanner in the works, right? But Priest, Punk, Drew, Seth. Priest is off doing his thing with Gunther right now, but the entire title situation has formed around all these guys. They've all been dicks at points. They've all legitimately been the good guy speaking the truth at various points. They've all had a reason for us to get behind them at various points.
Mm-hmm.
And, people say it's always hard to, how do you really book a true triple threat match where everybody feels like they equally belong? If Gunther wasn't in the equation, this could be a four-way where everybody in the situation belongs there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's... you're not wrong.
I'm gonna go with Punk, and my only justification is I'm a bigger Punk fan than I am a Drew fan.
Which I totally get.
Yeah, but saying that, I don't even know that that's the better option. I'm just saying, hey, I'm a Punk guy, I'm cheering for Punk.
Yeah,
because
this is what I feel.
The funny thing is that they've done character-wise, because face and heel is out the window.
Certainly.
Face and heel is out the window, so it does literally come to a positive or a good version of a just cheer for who you want. When it's pure babyface and pure babyface, we saw a lot of that on AEW the other night. The crowd gets split. The people are hesitant with their cheers, and nobody really knows what to do.
Yeah.
The thing about this, and I use the what the hell is it called? I use the House of Cards example. Why did I watch House of Cards? Because nobody was really a good guy. Pick your asshole. Nobody in this equation, even if I loop Damian Priest back into the conversation, because he hasn't technically gone face yet.
Yeah.
Nobody in this situation is pretending to be a good guy.
No.
Seth Rollins, as the referee, isn't going in there pretending to be a good guy. He came out in the speech with his I'm going to read you the rules and regulations thing.
Yeah.
And basically said, yeah, I might fuck you. If you pin him, I might count, I might not. If you're outside the ring, I might count. So he's a dick. Yeah. And he's being so silly in this serious situation. Yes. Because from Seth Rollins' point of view, what can he do to wind both of them up? These two guys that can't lay a hand on him, and he knows how serious the situation is. Of course he's going to come in there and mock it and make light of it and have the most extravagant referee's outfit ever.
Exactly. The blouse is coming, and then he looks at him and says, "Take it from me." When Drew ever held up the damn bracelet again, it just works, Spaz. It just works.
And the funny thing is as well, we talk about heel babies, whatever. How can I make this point properly? Technically, Drew McIntyre is in the right because he's been fucked over by Punk constantly. And the only thing I can say about him is he was the one that said to a brand new incoming Punk, "Nah, I don't like you. You shouldn't be here." That's a dick move. But ever since then, all the fuck over has been from Punk's side. So he's a heel, 100%. He's reaping the repercussions of his own bad actions by Punk being, the representation of your karma or whatever you want to say. But also, even though he's right, you still want to tell him to fuck off a little bit. And CM Punk comes in with the perfect contrast to that, with logic. Hey, we can't do the whole, I hurt somebody so I feel bad now. Yeah, you hurt me at the Rumble. I don't care that you hurt me at the Rumble. It's wrestling. It's not ballet, which is a terrible expression because ballet dancers get hurt a lot. He came in, he didn't say, it's your fault I got hurt. No, it's your fault that I got hurt and you came out here and fucking celebrated it because you're an asshole. So now, as soon as you get into that mindset, every fuckover from CM Punk's side feels legitimized.
Absolutely. My final prediction with this, I know we got a few more matches, and things to touch on, I believe.
I think we're done.
Oh, I thought we had one more. Oh, no, we already talked about Cody. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. I thought there was one more, but there's so many surprises, so many things I think that's going to happen. Twist my arm. Originally I said, all right, Drew would win more likely than Punk because I have a feeling But then again, I put my foot in my mouth and I'm like, no, because Punk loses, right? Punk could blame Seth. He could, you screwed me. But if Drew loses and he gets screwed by Seth and Punk again, I think that would also really add to his character.
He's the one that will be.
He's
the one that will benefit more from losing. And yes, I'm aware of how ridiculous that sounds, right? He was the one, even before Punk came back, because they sort of did a dry run of this with Jey Uso. When he came in, he said, "No, we don't want you here. We remember all the stuff that you've done, bloodline wise and whatever. You shouldn't be here. Am I taking crazy pills? Am I the only one that sees how bad this is? Whatever." And then they use that as a dry run for the exact same logic that he would use for Punk. Because you want to go all inside baseball and talk about all the things that Punk has done elsewhere, and you want to make all those implications without mentioning AEW, right? So
they say.
So he sees a problem in Jey Uso. Everybody else turns on him and calls him crazy. He sees a problem with CM Punk. Everybody turns to him and says, you're crazy, you're crazy. Sami Zayn was at the forefront of that for Jey Uso as an example, right? So everybody's telling him crazy. He's crazy. Everybody's telling him, why are you being a dick, this and that. Everybody's telling him, well, yeah, Punk fucked you over. You brought it on yourself. He's got a rivalry with Seth Rollins, but even he's tried to say, hey, Seth, we don't see eye to eye, but this outsider over here whatever the case may be, whatever the promo was the other week, right? So if Seth somehow fucks him over, this, like, descent, and Drew McIntyre's done it masterfully, by the way. The fact that I'm a bigger CM Punk fan is the only thing not making me be on Drew's side 100%. He's done a masterful job in a wrestling context of this, holy fuck, the whole world is actually out to get me, like, descent.
And they didn't even have to gimmick a steel chair to get there, Spaz.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I was making a really, really salient point there.
I said the more you erected this wonderful, thought process, I just had to take the sledgehammer and topple it down.
No, it was a shave down. How the fuck do you shave down a chair? I'm going to take the words out of your mouth from your own show.
I do not know. And funny enough, I have, even the clips that come up, and you hear it time and time again, and it's like...
There, who actually handled the chair in question, they were like... God. Still a steel chair.
That's the best quote ever. It's still a steel chair.
Yeah.
Sir Spaz, this has been such an exciting time in wrestling, and I cannot wait for this weekend.
I was going to say, you definitely have to bounce.
Yeah, we are going to have a hell of a time, and I'm genuinely, like, so giddy for wrestling.
Yep.
And I haven't felt that way in a long time, and it's fun to be in love with the product again. We went through a lot of bad wrestling.
Andy Dufresne climbed through 200 miles of shit and stuff that I wouldn't even want to picture and came out clean on the other side. All right. Nobody had a Shawshank Redemption reference on their bingo card tonight, but there it is. Buddy, I know you got to go. I know you got more stuff on your plate. Tell them where to find you again.
That's right. You can find me on the Joe Cronin Show, of course, on Twitter at Countdown Ended, and right here on the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel. I know you and I will touch base for the SummerSlam review and Night 2 of NXT as well. And we will go ahead and see you Saturday, my good man, for WWE SummerSlam.
And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Super Sexy Jake DeMarco. We're both really tired because we've done 2 back-to-back podcasts. Go check out the Great American Bash Night 2 preview if you haven't already. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me, Super Sexy Jake, we are tagging out, guys. Have a good SummerSlam.
Hit the like button.